Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here on this March 21st, 2023, a Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, you think this crisis is over? The banking crisis. Because they've backstopped the banks to a certain degree. This is just getting started. Things are going to get a lot worse. And I'll explain to you why. It says uncertainty reigns as U.S. Federal Reserve considers interest rate hikes. So what caused all this problem in the banking system? They're going to do more. They're going to add fuel to this fire. And so, yeah, you think it's all over? There's about 180 banks out there that are in trouble right now. Oh, yeah, maybe they can cover all that. Just dump money on it, but... Anyway, let's just read here just a little bit. It says, traders and economists remain split on whether the Federal Reserve will raise its benchmark policy rate on Wednesday, as more actions by the world's major central banks to stem banking strains and the fallout from the takeover of Credit Suisse keep markets on edge. The U.S. Central Bank will begin its two-day policy meeting on Tuesday as policymakers consider whether the still too hot inflation merits an interest rate hike or whether turmoil in the financial markets outstrips those concerns. Well, they got it kind of smoothed over right now a little bit, with cheap, easy money coming into $300 billion they added onto their balance sheet, the Fed balance sheet, and they got it smoothed over somewhat. Now, here's the thing, guys. Picture a drunk out there. He drinks and 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 he drinks until he gets what's called the delirium tremors. The DTs. Comes on suddenly. He sees ants crawling all over his skin. He starts to hallucinate and everything else. Gets terribly sick. Right? So he quits drinking. Well, after a few days, he feels better again. What does he do? Go right back to the bottle again. And this is just like what reminds me of the Fed's like, you know? They caused a problem and they're going right back to what caused the problem again. You watch them. Watch. They'll raise 25 basis points. This is what I predicted that they'll do, and this is what I think they'll do. Anyway, let's take a look at this. The U.S. is studying how to guarantee all $18 trillion in U.S. bank deposits. See this little blue thing here? It says the FDIC insures up to infinity per depositor per FDI insured bank, and this is what they're trying to get put in, where they're going to insure everybody to infinity here in America with the Federal Reserve. It says behind the scenes, deliberate shows there is concerns in Washington corridors of power as mid-sized banks call for broader government intervention. And it says here that they're actually considering this. Where does it say? They're considering putting this in where they're going to cover every deposit all the way up to. I guess they'd have to backstop the FDIC in order to do this, but they can. They got an unlimited printing press. You guys say, oh, the Fed can't. I've heard this so many times. In nauseam, I've heard it. Where the Fed's running out of tools. The Fed can't do anything about this. And we just seen that the big banking crisis just happened, right? Don't think the Fed can't do anything about it. They've smoothed it. Look how quick they smoothed it over. With money. I've told you guys, they got an unlimited printing press. They don't have any limitations to how much fiat currency they can print. Just look at the start of the COVID crisis, what they did in printing money to carry things through the COVID crisis. You remember all those stimmy checks? They can just decide to do that anytime they want. They got an unlimited printing press, and this is what people just can't get through their head. The meaning of unlimited. And it means that they can create as much currency units out there, as much Federal Reserve notes, as there are leaves on the trees. And I've also heard this notion, out there. They say, oh, they can't stop deflation. Well, believe me, helicopter money can stop deflation pretty damn quick. And this is why the Fed's not really frightened of deflation. Because they got a printing press. You print enough money, you can do anything with that. You can change the velocity of money. If velocity of money's really slow, print up $100 trillion and drop it from helicopters all over America, and you'll see how quick the velocity of money will go up. Seriously. You give every single person, man, woman, and child in America, $100,000 tomorrow. Give it to them. And see how packed the stores are by that evening. And you want to talk about a velocity of money. Do you know why all that quantitative easing never caused the velocity of money to rise? You remember all that money that they print? Well, because they were putting it in the banking system, and it was in something called a liquidity trap. A liquidity trap is basically when your money goes into the banking system and sits in a vault and doesn't move. So they can print all they want. They could print $2 quadrillion, and if they just put it on reserve in a bank someplace, in their own bank, central bank, and don't let it out into the general system, it will not have any effect. In fact, it'll slow down the velocity of money. And this is what we saw happen in the crisis from 2008 forward, because they printed a lot of money and it was sitting. It wasn't moving. It's already printed, but it wasn't moving. It was just kind of sitting dormant within the banking system. It's called a liquidity trap. And that money actually slowed the velocity of money. That's why on the charts you can see the velocity of money going down. The reason why is because it's recorded that money's created, but it's not moving. So it slows down the velocity of money. And a hyperinflation, you tend to see the velocity of money rise, or starting to rise. You got to watch carefully for that, because that's a leading indicator of inflation. And also, guys, I wanted to say this to switch the subject a little bit here. One of the things is we're facing a mountain, and the next big problem coming might not be the banks. It might be the housing market, the real estate market, and the auto loan and auto market, mortgages and auto leases and stuff like that. Because within the housing market, a big problem they're going to have is, I think they call it negative amortization. And basically, I guess, if I understand it correctly, it's when you aren't paying enough on your mortgage or whatever, you're behind in payments or whatever, and they add that onto the total you owe, and then interest rates goes up, and you got these variable rate mortgages, and the next thing you know, you're paying a higher rate of interest, and all of a sudden the minimum, the payment that you're going to have to pay on that goes up. Because people they're just not being able to afford to pay. And this can cause a mortgage crisis again, something similar to 2008. But we got it in spades. An awful lot of people are having repos going out there and repossessing cars and stuff. Just, it's crazy. They're getting so desperate to get people's cars away from them. People are hiding their cars. In the United States of America, and the repo guys are out there hunting and scavenging. And I mean, I seen one woman, I seen it on a TikTok or something, she's sitting there putting gas in her car. And the repo guy drove up, and he just, 1 second. These repo guys are getting so good at grabbing cars. that they can actually back their truck in there in 1 second. 1 second, they're not there. 1 second later, they got your car up in the air on a hoist. 1 second. And that's what they did to her. They just backed that thing in, and they got this thing that it's a big bar-like thing that goes underneath the wheels, and then up in the air the car goes. And then they drive off with it. And they're just that fast. You know? And so, yeah, they can repossess a car, and they can try to repossess a house, but I mean, when the problem is this big, this enormously large, and this is what's coming down the pike next, because we've crested. It's like a wave, when a wave crests in the real estate market. We've crested, and now we're going down the other side. And as interest rates go up, an awful lot of people don't have fixed rate mortgages. They got variable rate mortgages, and this interest rates are going to bite really hard. And we're heading down that other side now, where home valuations are starting to go down in the market. It's just at the front edge of this, you know. So home prices are starting to go down, and then interest rates are going up, and so the payments every month on the house is going up for these people who bought in, a lot of them at the top of the market, and they didn't get a fixed rate mortgage, they got a variable rate mortgage. And also they're facing this negative amortization as well, heaped on top of them, and they're just going to walk. And basically what they're doing when they get their car repoed is they're just walking. And these yards are going to soon be full of repoed cars everywhere. See, we're on the other side of this. During the COVID crisis, when they were pumping all that money out, used car prices were going to the moon. It's like a wave, you know. A wave, first the boat goes way up, and then the boat comes crashing down on the other side of the wave. That's what we're facing right now. Here we go. Silver prices today, you know. $22.33. It's down 20 cents on the day so far. And the reason why, you could call it normalizing, but when you consider the problems that are out there, as soon as these investors and stuff breathe a sigh of relief, then paper short silver goes out the window. As soon as they breathe a sigh of relief, and then the price goes back down a little bit. You know? They're not really, like, smart people. Which I'm not going to label these investors as these traders and stuff. As they have a system that they work on. But they're the smart people out there are putting gold and silver away from them for themselves in physical form. So they're buying, and more and more people are getting smart all the time. But that's not the way traders and stuff function, you know. I mean, they don't actually buy the physical. What they buy is SLV. And they can trade in that because they want to do these quick trades in and out. You know, push a keyboard on the mouse or whatever, push the button on the mouse, you've done the trade, and, you know, or even have some sort of a bot do the trade for you, you know, and you got to be able to do it all electronically. Well, and when you start to stray from that, you start to stray, and this is what they're used to, doing everything electronically and instantaneously. When you start to stray from that into physical metals, there's nothing instantaneous about physical metals. There's nothing about just pushing a mouse button about physical metals. There's delivery, there's storage, it's physical. It's a real world thing, you know, and people are so much getting used to doing everything online. It's all online. It's all instant gratification that we've moved into a new world that way. You know? And so I'm getting straying off the topic here a little bit, but anyway, silver price is $22.32 right here. Taking a look at gold today. Whoop, wrong chart. We got to get the live charts for gold. 1951. You know, it touched $2,000. Down 27 bucks today. Gold touched 2,000 bucks. Okay, cryptocurrency today. A Bitcoin price of 27,965 and Ethereum at 1815. So crypto's been doing rather well lately. It's caught a really good bid. Dow Jones Industrial Average today. It's up 212 points at 32,457. Massive crash coming if certain things play out within this system. If not, the market could go the other way. It all depends on the central banks. But I think there's troubled waters coming very, very soon. I think that they've unleashed something big and monstrous within the system now at this point. And they're trying to get it under control, but at the same time continue what they were doing, which is raising interest rates and doing quantitative tightening. So they don't want to let go of that. And they're trying to fix this other thing. And there's no easy route here. Taking a look now at the S&P 500, and we're looking at it's up 28 points at 39.79. I think it'll soon be back up above 4,000 on the S&P. Taking a look now at crude oil, 69.03. It's up $1.39 on the day so far. Bonds and rates. We're looking at rising yields today. Okay, so the 10-year is up 7 basis points at 3.55, and the 30-year is 3.71, and it's up 4.8 basis points. And the U.S. dollar index today is at 103.16, and the dollar is actually going down just a little bit. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.